Hello, my name is Carsten Zimmermann. We wait 2 minutes for the next people who comes to our webinar, so we start in 2 minutes. Thanks. Okay, we start. Hello and welcome to our webinar of the deactivation of the Rec 19 recommendation. My name is Carsten Zimmermann and I'm your trainer of today. I work as a freelancer for more than 10 years by IMDS Professional. And we have now 45 minutes for this new topic. If you have questions, please write under the GoToWebinar tool under the point questions, your questions, direct by each page, or by the end we have 5 to 10 minutes time that I can answer your questions. We have a video of this webinar for you, in which you sent you an email, and there's a link that you can watch this video after this webinar. Okay, I will share my screen so you see our presentation, and I go to the next slide. At first, I give you an overview about IMDS Professional. We are a full-time service company for IMDS. We have the experience and the knowledge since the 1999, and we have more than 18,000 people trained in the last 20 years, and we have our training locations all over Europe. A big advantage for us is that we have the authorization by DXC technology as a training partner, so that we use the training database of IMDS. And we have the communication in 8 languages, so that we use native speaker to give you the information about IMDS in all our topics for material compliance. What we do is public trainings. This is like today that we have a topic and we say, okay, come to our training. Or we have the other side that you give us a topic. You say, okay, which people from your company are in the meeting, and we make our training and look for your processes, and that you are, after this training, you have a higher knowledge and your processes are smarter. And on the other side is our IMDS service, which we provide worldwide. So if you say we want not to work with IMDS, so that we use it, that you use our knowledge and our service to create IMDS data, work with your supply chain, and the last point is of IMDS is our new trade name, trade compliance professional for non-automotive, because we have a lot of requests outside the automotive area, and so we have a new smaller company compliance professional. Okay, for all these who comes now in this training, if you have questions, please send me these questions by the tool GoToWebinar. Okay, what we will do today. We have at first the current process, the reporting of the electrical and electronic equipments, components, and which effects of the REACH regulation have we here by the electrical industry. We see 05A, once an article, always an article, and the effects on the recommendation 19. We have the new SCIP database of the Waste Frame Directive. I hope that is not new for you, but if I can say you a lot of the Waste Frame Directive and the new SCIP database. And then we go to the letter of Mr. Griffin, which is the statement of the IMDS Steering Committee. And then we have our service and our webinar, the next webinar of Rec019, and we have the next webinar for you for the SCIP database. Okay, and then the last point is the questions, and I hope I can give you all the answers. So I have the first question, but I think I go to the next slides, and then I hope that I can answer you these questions. Okay, the reporting according IMDS guideline 1 and the guideline 19. This is different because the guideline 1 is in general for all articles in the IMDS, and the guideline 19 is only for electrical and electronic components. We have the topic compliance of the supply chain in the IMDS. And we have change management rules and how you are compliance with that. And we have rules and recommendations in the IMDS. And there are a lot of basic materials for E&E components. Okay, I hope you know the recommendation 1. This is a recommendation with a lot of rules and guidelines. And we have 2 rules and the guidelines. The rules have to be fulfilled by every company in the supply chains. The guidelines are a best practice for the supply chains. A lot of OEM say, okay, this guideline, we want this guideline, and some OEM say, okay, we use it not. These are defined and harmonized rules, and they are valid for the supply chain. And these rules promotes an effective material data sheet workflow in the IMDS. So if you use these rules and guidelines, you have not really a problem with your customer. There we have a lot of rules on structure and on the levels. Okay. And we have the new situation with the Rec019 that these Rec019 declaration using publish semi-components, this recommendation will be deactivated on the 1st of July this year. And all printed circuit boards data records must be reported according to recommendation 1 from this point on. And it's very important how to deal with existing data. This is at the moment, this is an older slide, but this was not clarified, but now we have more information and I will give you on the next slides these informations. Okay, you know the Rec019 electrical printed circuit boards and electrical hybrid parts are often complex assemblies for more than 100 components. There we have models are published in IMDS under the company identification, under the ID. This recommendation is reviewed annually by this IMDS steering committee. During this review phase, there are some changes made by the directive due to legal change. This policy may be disabled and reporting will be based on Rec 001 with full data. And a big topic, one big problem why the Rec019 is deactivated or will be deactivated is the use of wildcards and jokers and the information behind these substances behind wildcard and jokers. Because we have in Rec 001, we have a rule, the rule 453A. If wildcards are used to hide a substance, the owner of the data is obligated to archive the related data for a minimum of 30 years, which must instantly be available in case of legal inquiries. So the very important is that you know, or your suppliers know, the informations behind a wildcard substance or confidential substances, and this is very important to know for the next 30 years. Housings, screws, mounting plates, or other components must be reported according the Rec 001. So you only use the semi-components. For the production of E&E components, IMDS provides public semi-parts from the ZVEI industry, and these are available. If these models are used, supplier documents must be obtained. See the General Reporting Chapter 3.1 in Guideline 1. So you have to know what substances, what materials, semi-components and components are used under these parts if you use these published semi-parts. And if the customer requests, the supplier must be checked documents for the completeness. So if your customer gives you a request, then you have to give them the information. And this is under the rule 52D, and I will show you this rule. I hope you can see that. This is the recommendation 001. And there's a rule of flat bomb reporting. And there, if upon special request by the customer, the supplier of the F-bomb, flat bomb declarable must prove the per evident that all data has been collected from their sub-tier levels. So you must have these informations from your supplier at the moment. The use of standard materials does not release the supplier from this obligation to obtain and verify information along the supply chain. If you use the public semi-parts from the ZVEI, that you have also this information from your supply chain, is this data which I use in IMDS, is this correct? And we have a lot of new regulations and requirements from law side. For example, there is a REACH regulation with the article free. And also what comes next is the skip database and all the informations which we have to fill in the skip database. Basic materials from the EE components. There you see these are published from the IMDS committee, and these are these data you can use. But the main source of the published data obtained in shredder tests for the reporting of complete printed circuit boards. So this means that this could be what you use in your products, but the informations are from shredder tests. And very important, and comes from the OEM, is the data flow in IMDS must represent the materials and parts according to the automotive manufacturer's supply chain. And there comes the rule 3.1a from the recommendation 1. Material data must be passed along the supply chain, tier N, tier N1, and to the automotive manufacturer. This data in IMDS starts with the first entry of a material into the supply chain. You see the VDA volume 2 or the PPAP. Material data sheets are passed from supplier to supplier in the supply chain up to the automotive manufacturer. And also there is the rule in the recommendation 1. And what is the next point in IMDS? We have change management rules. And in IMDS recommendation 1, we have a lot of change management rules. There are two different changes. When an MDS receives and sends at first time, you need a new IMDS ID. When a new version is requested by an already accepted, then you have to make a new version. These are the rules 322A and B. And on this next slide, you see the different. We have 5 difference by change management and the change management rules. The first is when a new part or a new material is introduced to a customer for the first time, a new MDS with a new IMDS ID has to be created. So this is on the right side, the point new part number or new material. This needs a new IMDS ID. All the other changes have not, you have not to create a new IMDS ID, you have to create a new version of the existing IMDS ID with a higher version. If you make the addition or of any new materials or the elimination of any already reported materials, you have to make a new version. If you have a change in mass, then you have to make a new version. If there's a change to the GADSL, the Global Automotive Declarable Substance List, and you have one substance under a joker or a wildcard or as a confidential substance, and this substance have, after the revision of the GADSL, the classification to declarable or prohibit, then you have to make a new version of the IMDS data and send it with the new declaration information. And if a new revision is required, for example, special requested from law, then you have to make a new version. Okay, and this is not new for you. It's only to copy a new datasheet, new version. Okay, I have a question here, and May customers be asking for IMDS even if they are not a part of the automotive industry? Only automotive suppliers and the automotive industry is it allowed to use IMDS data. This could you see in the terms of use. So if your customer requested, and this is not an automotive industry partner, you can go to the help desk and request that they are not in the IMDS. For these companies, there we have other systems. For example, the CDX system. This is Compliance Data Exchange. This is also from DXC software tool. This is also like IMDS, and it comes in the future in exchange from these two systems. So please say this customer of you not use IMDS, or IMDS is for the automotive industry. Please use CDX or other systems. Okay. So now we come to new topics. There is REACH. REACH is not a new topic, but sometimes for some companies, these requirements under REACH are new. We have here the topics is 05A, once an article, always an article, with article 33 on their effects on the recommendation 19. So what is REACH? REACH is the registration, evaluation, and authorization of chemicals. And chemicals, please not say these are chemicals in your production only. These are chemical substances, and chemical substances we have in every material, in every part. So this regulation concerning the registration, evaluation, and authorization and restriction of chemical substances in the European community. So each company in the European area which create or import substances or substances in materials is affected under REACH. Each company who have substances like lead in the products are affected under REACH. And this is the reform of the European chemical legislation. And this is this comes directly to all member states. There's no national law required. And we have this notification of critical substances, which is named as SVHC, substance of very high concern. These are really toxic substances. We have this since the end of October 2008. So this is not new for us. What is new for us? We have in 5 years ago, the court have the decision mean that EU importers and suppliers of products are now subject to REACH articles obligation in respect for each individual component part of a product rather than the product as a whole. So that means that you see in this small product which we have, each part is a part under REACH. If you put a part to assembly, also this component is an article. So this is the meaning of once an article, always an article. And this is very important to declare the information regarding the Article 3.3 about SVHC substances. And this comes more and more important for you, for the E&E suppliers, so that if you have an article on a printed circuit board, is this your information which you have to give this customer if they're a substance like an SVHC, to give the customer the information that in this part on a printed circuit board is an SVHC substance. Up to now, it was possible to use public semi parts for E&E components in the IMDS. With the deactivation of this Rec019 from this information comes from January and it is deactivated on the 1st of July. These semi-parts products will also be deactivated. However, there has always been an obligation to obtain and check complete material information along the supply chain. See the introduction of the recommendation 19. And if the customer requests, the supplier must check documents for completeness. So this is the effect on this. And we have on the next topic is that you have no component structure. And this is important if we go back to the always an article, once an article, always an article information, you need a structure for components. And in general, the PCB standard is free of SVHC substances. So and if you not have the information from your suppliers because they are located outside the European area and there is no law outside the European area, you have to collect the information about these SVHC substances regarding REACH declaration. So this is very important. And I said it, shredder tests are the background of these data. And in general, you have a problem if you only use this with the REACH compliance. And this is a law which is comes direct to you. So near the REACH general requirement about the Article 3.3, we have in Europe a new waste frame directive. This comes 2 years ago, 2018, and we have, for example, in Germany, in July, our located own waste directive, because each country in Europe must create an own waste frame directive. And this comes from the REACH regulation and the European Chemical Agency. And this European Chemical Agency have the contract with the European Parliament to create a database for substances of concerns in product. So skip substance concern in products. And each company in the European area which have products in which is an SVHC substance higher 0.1 have to send these information into this database. So this is we have next week, we have the webinar for free for you on Thursday. So please register you if you want to know more about the SCIP database. What is important for you today is that we will get in October the test system with from the Azure with the new information, and it is the deadline is to create is the 5th of January next year. So on this we have to submit the information into the SCIP database. Now there's a good question, how to collect data for the assembled components at the printed circuit boards in case that I have more than one approved manufacturer of the components. Yes, it's a good question. I will answer this to the next slides because they have more information for you, how to collect the data. This is the next point why we have on this slide with the SCIP database. This is one more point why we need a new structure of E&E components in the IMDS system, because we can use in IMDS in the future, I think we get this information the middle of the year or to the end of the year, how that we can use IMDS to fulfill this SCIP database. So, and for this, we need a good structure by E&E components. Now, I will give you, before I will answer these questions, I have here the letter of the steering committee, and this is the information behind this. Is the steering committee is aware of the potential problems and disruption that disabling of the recommendation 19 datasheets can cause the electrical supply chain, and all these problems and the big information behind this is that you have to collect real data from your supply chain. And if you have more than one, you have to more than one supplier for one article, that you have to collect both datas. We have here this point, new system. We need a new system in IMDS to allow the inclusion of multiple suppliers for the same part number in the IMDS, so that you have then in the future not only one, so that you can change it, or the customer can see both of them, not both suppliers, but both IMDS, MDS. Handling of materials for parts that are not longer have an active supplier, so that we can use this as a flag of spare parts. But this comes in the middle of the year. And we need new guidelines, informations, and a lot of other things from the IMDS committee or from the ZVAI and the electrical sector. So we need more improvements in the IMDS. We need more tools. So this is the work. We had the first change of IMDS 1 month ago. And now I think we have 1 or 2 more changes of the IMDS, and we have need new improvements this year. Some suppliers, electrical suppliers, have already taken the initiative and go and deactivate these use of the published materials. So that is the first state that some suppliers start with a new collection of the data. And in the middle of this year, these substances, materials, semi-components goes out and are not longer available to the 1st of July. After this date, these published data cannot be used to create new IMDS components, so that you get a failure. Suppliers should act immediately to complete existing projects and collect necessary data from their supply chain. So if you have big projects at the moment, try to close it directly, these projects, and then starts with your suppliers. We know as IMDS professional and the IMDS steering committee know that is more work than today. But you see that with the REACH regulations and other law regulations, for example, the Waste Frame Directive, if you're not using the new system, you're not compliant with these law requirements. This is one big point for you and for your management board. So, and this information is very important, that we think that some companies not wait till July to start to collecting the new data. We think that is starting this month or next month, so earlier with this. How can we help? We have a service worldwide so that we can use our knowledge to collect the data and which informations have the supplier sent to you, or which information you can use. Where are published materials, for example, for steel parts and so on. We can create supplier guidelines. We can help you by the information which comes into the contracts with your suppliers. The supplier evaluation, we have the testing database and can make training for your suppliers. If they are not in the system IMDS, we can make the entries. We have project management knowledge about IMDS. We can have supplier management in IMDS, so we have that we accept or reject the data and help the supplier to send it back in the correct way. And also we know which customer want which information in the receipt data and so on. And if you have other systems to fulfill like CDX or CIMDS, we can help you to create the data and also to send the data to the CDX system or the CIMDS, the Chinese Automotive Material Data System. So, and we hope that because there's exchange between IMDS and CIMDS, that helps us to fulfill this requirement, because if the supplier is in the CIMDS system, we can make an exchange to the IMDS system. There's a question about the weight of components. The weight is under 5 grams. So each component have to be declared in the IMDS system. So we have some customers, they produce O-rings with a weight from 0.9 grams. So this is also reported in the IMDS system. So then we have in the next weeks, we have our webinar about deactivation of the Rec019, what next, and there we can help you to create complex structures, to request the supplier data, to check the supplier data on E&E components. And these are our webinar, which comes in the next weeks. So, but this is not for free like today. And now this is the time for questions. Please write your questions under the tool GoToWebinar. Then I can read and hope to answer it. If there comes too much questions, then I will, or we will send you an information in our next emails about your questions. Okay. Yeah, there's a question. Hello, in your emails you put under the ID 77194 the published general components. Yes, that's correct. At the moment, there are the semi parts of these sector ZV EI under the semi parts, and in the future there comes for general components, there comes some published materials. I will show you that on a moment. Wait, please. I will search for it. This is a good question. Okay. So I will give you my screen, and there is the search by the components. These are the first 15 components which are created, And under these, you have to, I have to change the language, sorry. So under the component search, you can search for published MDS, and then you search for these supplier 77194, and then click on the search button, and then you get the first published data. And our information is that there comes more and more of these materials. Okay. I read the next. Do we get the recorded webinar? Yes, you get a link to this records, to this record. Which will be the acceptable deviation in percent and the weight for these parts, which very low weight. So I give you these. Oh, wait, I will search for it for you. So I have this is in the IMDS. You can see it under the deviation. There is a question mark, and there you have the measured weight and the allowed maximum deviation. So I can send it to you by the chat. This is the allowed deviation. And oh, there comes a lot of questions. So the question is, do we have to resend the data which are based on the Rec019, which you have sent in the past to your customer? No. All parts are valid, so the customer cannot request a revision. This is very important. You saw this in the change management. If you make a new material or other things that you have to resend it, then it could be that you have to fulfill this new requirement. But each customer know the the work behind that. Hello, as I understood, there would not have any published records from the 1st of July, which will be allowed to use as is now with the metal grade records. Yes, after the 1st of July, you cannot use the published semi parts from the E&E. Okay, so there are more than 10 questions open. So I copy these questions and we will answer you in the next weeks. And we send you the record of this webinar. Many thanks for your time. And I hope we can see or hear us on the next months. If there's any additional questions, I will give you my email address. So, and if you have questions tomorrow, next week about this topic, you can send me an email. So, many thanks for your time, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye.